From the truth, I could buy it, but it's just a rental. It's not a good investment. Being bad with your money is being good at flexing. They always chasing a bag, I guess they couldn't catch it. They tryna be like me, but it's not a good impression.
Recently, me and a couple of my buddies went on a trip out west, and one of the places we stopped was Moab, Utah. And Moab, Utah is known for some of the best off-roading you can do in the United States. So we decided to get a Jeep. We found a place called Jen's Jeep Rentals. If you're ever out there looking for a Jeep, I highly recommend stopping there. The owner was very nice. The other staff member was nice when we brought it back. Very helpful and reasonable prices. The Jeep had a lot of modifications to help you get through all the trails you were going to go on. They also have an option where you can pick up the Jeep the day before. I think it was like $50 more. So we opted to do that so we could get out for sunrise the next day. We got up early, got everything packed and ready to go. Right around sunrise, we were on the road. The first place we got to was Double Arch. It's the only two arches you're actually allowed to walk on. There's a canyon below, and there's two arches that go over two parts of the canyon. You can ride your Jeep up to the trail, and then from the trailhead, it's about 200 yards, and you'll get to the double arches and a canyon. There's a lot of rock formations you can climb. It's a very easy hike to get there. Once you get there, there's also different places you can climb, hike to different degrees, as you can see here. We are back on the road, and we're headed to Thelma and Louise Point, where at the end of the movie they drive the car off the cliff. It's a little bit of a ride, but the views on the way there are amazing, so it's nothing you don't mind doing. Once we got to the Thelma and Louise Point, we got out, took some pictures. The area is just amazing. Everywhere in Moab, Utah is amazing, but there's certain points where you're only going to get to by Jeep, and you just got to stop every now and then, soak it all in, and enjoy it. After Thelma and Louise Point, we're back in the Jeep and we're headed on over to Shaffer's Trail. Once you get to Shaffer's Trail, it's no longer like wide open off-roading. It's more of a narrow road. They got a bunch of switchbacks which take you all the way from the bottom to the top of the mountain. It is a little scary being that it is a one-lane road. Every now and then you will encounter another vehicle. You just back up to the widest spot available and let them pass. Usually the person on the cliffside will pass. It changes depending on where you're at, but you let the person on the cliffside pass so that way they feel as comfortable as they need to be and have as much room as possible. On the way up, every time you hit a switchback, one time you'll be looking over the edge, the other time you'll be facing the mountain wall. But when you're on the cliffside and you're looking over the edge, the views are amazing. You can see where you came from. You can see the road you've taken all the way from Thelma and Louise Point up to Shaffer's Trail, and then the switchbacks you took all the way to get where you're at. After we got to the top of Shaffer's Trail, we were off to Fins and Things. Those were the first two trails that we did. They were on the easier side. Those were the trails that I wanted to do. My buddy Los, who does a little more off-roading than I do, he wanted to do a couple more harder trails. So after that, we were headed over to Fins and Things, but the guy at the gate somehow talked my guy, which isn't hard to do, into going to a place called Hell's Revenge, and we went on that trail instead. And let's just say it was a little bit interesting. Just going in, when you enter, the climb you have to take, I was scared to where I was paying attention to the sides and not falling off rather than recording. And once I got to the top, I was like, man, I should have recorded that, but it was too late. And I only got the descent from halfway down to where you enter Hell's Revenge. There was two vehicles that entered before us, an older green F-150 and a side-by-side. They had entered right before us. We were kind of following them since we didn't know the trail. And at this point in the video, if you look above the trees, and when I zoom in, you can actually see the green F-150 attempting to climb this rock wall, which he actually does very easily. He made it look easy. In the video, right in between the trees, I'll pause it and you can see it. And then as I come around the trees, you can actually see him climbing the wall if you pay attention real close in the background. But you can see how big that wall is. As we approached, the side-by-side was trying to get up that part, and you could tell he was having more of a difficult time than the truck did. His first two attempts didn't work, and we could see it from a distance. So when I got there, I didn't want to get up close and be the, asshole recording somebody. If I was trying to get up there, I wouldn't want somebody recording me. So I stopped recording, but I was planning on recording us trying to get up that wall. But the way it went down, we actually got stuck, and I never actually started recording before we started attempting to go up it. But the guy in the truck actually stood up there and ended up helping guide us up. They didn't mind if we followed them, but they were doing videos and other things, so he said that they were going to be stopping along the way just so that we knew it was going to take longer than normal to get through this trail if we followed them, which we didn't mind, so we continued to follow them for a little bit. And as we did, you could tell the guy in the green truck had been back there for years. He knew every route to take. He knew what part of the trails to be on. He definitely made navigating this Hell's Revenge trail a lot easier than it probably would have been if we had nobody to follow. At this point of the trail, it continued to go to 3 other trails, which the guy at the rental place told us, here's a list of places you can't go, and those trails were on that list. So we actually had to break off and find our own way back, which I believe we got lost 2 or 3 times, followed one other person for a minute, but then we did catch a signal, and Google Maps actually has all this stuff mapped out. So if you get a signal out there, you can get a map. And it was like 48 minutes from where we were to get back to the hotel. We had about 2 hours till we had to return the Jeep. So we just decided to follow the GPS back out rather than go on the trails that the Jeep rental place told us we weren't allowed to be on. If we were allowed to be on these and they were like they were, I don't think we should have been on the other ones anyway. So I didn't want to get in trouble. B, I didn't want to pay for any damages or anything else that may incur from us not listening to the rules they had.
Can't wait for the weekend. Gonna dive off the deep end. No, I don't need a reason to lose control. Pour me a glass, I toss it back. Forget responsibility. It's hard to be.
It was definitely an experience. About halfway through the trip, we were going up one of these big hills and you couldn't see over where you had to go down. And my man Los that was driving, he was like, this is better than any roller coaster I've ever been on in my entire life. And I know for a fact that that man loves roller coasters. So when we were halfway through this trail and I was fearing for my life half of the time, but I heard him say that, I knew he was enjoying it more than I was scared. So it was worth it to me. I definitely probably go back and do it again. I prefer to have a guide. My man, he said he would rather just wing it. So I really don't know how that would go. But if you get out there and you're willing to drive it and you feel confident that you could do it, I would definitely go on some of the easier trails. Those aren't too bad. Shaffer's trails, rather easy. The Thelma and Louise point to get there is really easy. If you don't want to do Shaffer's trail and do the switchbacks, you can turn around there and go back. But I would definitely recommend going off-roading in Moab, Utah. It's an experience you would never forget.
From the truth, I could buy it, but it's just a rental. It's not a good investment. Being bad with your money is being good at flexing. They always chasing a bag, I guess they couldn't catch it. They tryna be like me, but it's not a good impression.